Hello and welcome to the Publicly Challenged Podcast. I'm your host, Luke Oswald, and I hope you join me on my quest for knowledge to become a better public land hunter, angler, and forager. Stick with this and who knows, maybe we will learn something together. All right, so I am sitting here and I am talking to Rachelle Shrute. And would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself for everybody listening?
Well, as you properly pronounced, my name is Rachelle Shrute. I've been called Rachel a lot on podcasts. I am the hunt and fish editor at Gear Junkie. I live in Montana. Hunt and fish a lot. 2 kids, 8 dogs.
8 dogs?
8 dogs.
So like,
yeah, we're down to 8 dogs.
So you're not like a crazy cat lady, you're a crazy dog lady.
Mountain lion hounds. Yeah, we have lots of dogs.
Story then. Different story.
Yeah.
So you guide? Do you guide mountain lion hunts? Then,
absolutely not.
What? No,
I don't do it. No, we just feed them all year and then we run them December, January, February, March, April. And now they can be bear hounds now in Montana. So we did chase bears this year too.
So okay.
For ourselves.
You got my wheels turning here. So, okay, the hounds. You're a houndsman, woman, whatever you want to call it, if we're going to be PC. But you're running these hounds, but you don't actually hunt the lions. You just
we
chase
for
them,
ourselves.
Okay.
No. Yeah, for ourselves, we'll hunt lions. We'll fill our tags, and then if any friend, it has to be local, like Montana residents have a tag to fill. We run every weekend, and if we don't have someone with a tag to fill, we just run them every weekend.
And you just chase the lions just to get them.
Chase the lion up a tree, get the dogs, keep them fit, keep them sharp.
Okay.
Let the lion go. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Now, say I had a tag. You don't know me, but would you take me and try and track one for me?
Are you a Montana resident?
Do you have to be a resident for hounds? What's the deal?
Listen, if you're not a Montana resident, you have to go with an outfitter.
Oh, all right. See, I get it now.
Yeah.
I get it now.
That
what about bears,
play.
Though? What about bears?
I don't know. Because it's so new. I've never really looked into it.
Okay. All right, then.
I don't know.
That'd be cool.
We shall look into that.
Yeah. I've always wanted to use hounds, watch them work for bears. I know in like this, I mean, in Montana, you don't necessarily need the hounds for the bears because it's so wide open. You can sit on a knob and glass all day. But like north woods of Wisconsin, for instance, if you didn't have a bait site or bears, you would not kill a bear. I mean, it would be like a 1 in a million chance that you would even kill a bear.
Yeah, we've had in-depth conversation about hunting hounds with bears in this little bubble, or hunting bears with hounds. Because it's unnecessary here. We definitely don't need it. I feel like in northwestern Montana, where it is just dense and I see an application there. Here, it makes it easier. That's for sure.
Yeah. So let's get into a little bit of the background now that you sidelined me and I had to know about these hounds. But so you run hounds. What's kind of like your background in the outdoor space? But let's go back. Where did it start for you? Was it as a child? Where did it start?
Yeah, so it roller coaster history. My family, we had a little subsistence farm in the Rattlesnake Wilderness, northwestern Montana, kind of between Missoula and Frenchtown. Broke, so we hunted and fished. We'd have a cow or we'd have some livestock, but we couldn't afford to eat it. So
yeah,
we hunted. So for us, it just made sense. Like it was just that was how we grocery shopped, and we filled the freezer, and we definitely didn't hunt the way that I hunt now. It was much more grocery shopping. We all go out. We all have tags. Most cow elk, I would say, is the bulk of what we ate. We'd fill the freezer, and that's just how we ate. So that's just how I was raised. And then as I got a little bit older, we started to cut our wild game with pork and things. We got fancy. And And then I became an adult and I didn't do it at all. I mean, it was like I fly fished as an adult. I got married, kids, and then there was like a 10 to 15-year window where I didn't do it just because of strange and unfortunate relationship dynamics. And then when those relationship dynamics ended, it was a sudden throwback to like my childhood of, oh shit, I don't have the money to fill this freezer.
Okay.
So it's right back to borrowed rifle and Carhartts and fill the freezer with B tags. So that's how I got back into it. So it's been, I don't know, it's been a necessary and kind of beautiful reintegration into my entire childhood and like my family's life and how I was raised. And then I had this blip of time where I was like removed from it and then thrown back into it in like an unfortunate but super pure way where we just needed the meat. My kids were big and they never stopped eating. So we just needed the meat.
My kids
And then
consume a lot of meat as well. It is
oh, it's just
ridiculous.
wild.
Yeah.
They just never stop. Yeah, and then it kind of evolved from that. My daughter actually, I can blame my job pretty much on my daughter. We went out on her first hunt. She was 12 and there was a buck, a mule deer buck, and I was looking at Onyx and I was like, we'd have to corner cross to get to that buck. And I feel like one of those landowners would absolutely tell us no and be real frustrated. And I didn't know the laws super well at the time. And so it was like this learning moment for her and I like tried to explain it to her the best I knew. And I said, you know what? It's up to you whether I don't know if it's technically legal or not. She ended up not shooting the buck. Then we went home and we spent all night like researching and learning that it's just, well, at the time and still it was such a gray area. And then immediately I was like pissed off that like this weird political gray area stopped us from putting meat in the freezer. And then from there it was just like I was volunteering at every conservation organization I could find. I was like testifying in Helena. I was ticked. I was just like peeved about it. Just evolved from there. And I've always been a writer, so then that just sort of, I don't know.
So what did you used to write if it wasn't outdoor stuff? What was it?
So this is like funny. I'm a proud college dropout. I do not have a journalism degree. I didn't major in English. I in the 7th grade, I wrote a final science report for $20, which $20 now is good money. $20 in the 1990s was sick money. And I got that $20 and I was like, wait, I could do this. So through high school, I've just always been a writer. So it just like came easy to me through high school, through college. It was side cash. So it was just always like my side cash came from writing.
So you're saying side cash like writing papers for people or like
for people.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Side cash for writing. Yeah, just writing papers, theses. I mean, like you name it, I wrote it through all the way through college. And then I did some ghostwriting for a friend of mine who was like a little behind and was like not meeting deadlines. And I was like, cut me a little bit of your paycheck and I'll write it for you. And then word of mouth, then it was like 2 buddies of mine and then a friend of theirs. And then it just sort of snowballed. And then I wrote a couple of articles under my own name just because the pay was a little better. And then it just is what it is now. It just continued to snowball into somehow I'm sitting as editor, which is just it's so strange to go from, it's such a dirtbag start to like
not
roll
really.
into
like
I don't know. Yeah.
My hardest thing. Yeah. I mean, your heart was in it the whole time.
Yeah.
Like,
I loved it.
for me,
I love writing and I love the outdoors.
Yeah,
so
I am not a writer. I have a very hard time writing unless it's something I'm super passionate about. But even then, I'm so anal that I will take 5 minutes instead of and I've been working on it to where I just jot down all of my ideas, just like puke it out onto the paper and then go back and tweak it. Because if I don't do that, I'll spend 10 minutes trying to find the perfect wording on something, and it takes me like 6 hours to write, 600, whatever, 400 words. It's
Oh yeah,
crazy.
I'm the same way. I've gotten better now. Now I'll actually like write something and be like, it's good enough, and I will put it out. But I used to be hypercritical. It would just drive
Yeah.
me nuts.
Yeah. I don't know how to get around that other than just try and put all my thoughts down first and then just go back and work through it. And that's hard for me to do. Very hard. And then my ADD takes over and just totally scatters everything anyway. So then it's like,
Yeah.
oh, you know what? Maybe I should change this to this.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. But I don't know. Maybe I've been told by a lot of people that I need to focus more on that. You have any tips on that to like focus on the writing and work
Um,
on it?
I would say, which is advice I need to give myself, is just write more often on stuff that you don't have to write. I used to at least three pieces a week, whatever that meant. It would be like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I would write something that I knew no one was going to read. Just because then you remove that pressure of like, what are people going to think of this? And I would just write something for me. I used to burn them, which is such like a teenage girl thing to do. Like I would write something in it. Um, and now I'll write something, just fill out like a Word document, and then I will read it back to myself and I'll be like, that was either great or it was terrible, and then I delete it. And I feel like that has made me a better writer just because I remove the pressure. And then
Interesting.
there's other things like I've got a side thing that I work on that in the evenings, if I can't sleep, I write. And then I'll wake up the next morning and I'll be like, wow, that was trash. Or it's great. And that's made me a lot better writer too.
Hmm. Interesting. So, okay, you're writing papers in high school. You progress in life, and then eventually you end up your job. You were pissed off about all the legislation. What'd you do from there? I mean, somebody say, "Hey, you want a job?" Where did that go?
Um, so I volunteered a lot. There was a couple of years where I feel like, man, I was not making any money. I was really like scraping to get by, but I was spending every penny I made driving to like I was pulling fence for, migratory pathways because that would tick me off. And then I was like going to Helena and testifying against something that just didn't make sense to me. And then I'd spend all my time reading and researching and figuring out like the history of this bill and what does this one mean and whatnot. And then backcountry hunter or backcountry hunters and anglers reached out to me. I don't even remember the evolution of that, but I was a volunteer with them for a while, and then they offered me a position on the Montana board, which I took. Um, and that was great. That like fulfilled my need to do something good. Like I was doing plenty good, but I wasn't as one person. What impact do you have? Like when you have an organization behind you, I feel like you can get a lot more accomplished. And so I did that for a while. And then while I was doing that, I was also working in construction, general contracting. I was a designer. Um, and then writing at night just so I could get my bills paid. And then the conservation aspect sort of ebbed away, and I didn't have the time to keep up with it, and I couldn't dedicate enough time to it. And my writing started to pick up, where it was like little freelance gigs and ghostwriting gigs were now taking a lot more of my time. And then I got to like, not to say midlife crisis, but on a Tuesday in April, I quit my job because I hated it so much
I can
that I
relate.
was like, wow, and it was too. It was like I called and I was like, can't do this anymore. Here's blueprints. Here's where I've started. I'm just done. I just can't do this anymore. And then the day that I quit, I got an email. It was like a mass spam email from a guide company out of Yellowstone looking for wilderness guides in Yellowstone Park the day I quit. And I was like, well, that's my job now. So then I like went in, talked to those guys, did that. So I did that during the days through like tourist season, and then wrote at night. And then the writing just kept picking up and picking up and picking up, and to a point where it was a full-time gig. And
Interesting.
now I don't guide anymore because I moved to central Montana and it's just too far away. I do miss it, but
Yeah. Do you
yeah.
do you ever feel like you want to just quit what you're doing now and start a little farm and Name it Shrute Farms.
I mean, I don't know if you're looking at my surroundings. It's not far from that. We raise like chickens and turkeys and
Right. I do as well.
yeah,
But I'm
yeah.
just poking at you there with the whole Shrute Farms thing.
No one's ever made that joke before.
I couldn't imagine that they have. It wouldn't make any sense.
Hey, do you want the exclusive scoop on my last name? I don't know that I've ever told anyone this on record.
Let's hear it.
All right, so Shrute, it's kind of a notorious last name, and it's entirely made up. So there I was going through a divorce, which whatever, it happens to everybody, right? And my daughter at the time was like, "Are you keeping your last name?" And I was like, "No. No, I don't think I want to do that." So then she goes, "Oh, so you're going to go back to your other last name?" And I was like, "Ugh. That feels gross. That feels like a failure, right? You're like going back to your this person that I used to be and I'm not anymore." So then I was like, "No, maybe we should just pick a new name." And I was like, my signature has never changed. It was my maiden name was Schmidt. My married name was Schleining. So I was like, stick with that SCH thing. You guys think of something. And I came home from work one day and my son was watching The Office, laying on the floor, eating straight out of a tub of ice cream, and said, "You should be a Shrute," which was a total joke. But then we're sitting there filling out paperwork on like the final day, everything's being finalized, and there was a blank spot, which I didn't think I had to decide that day what my last name was going to be. And so I just wrote Shrute in, and that was it.
And there it is.
Oh, there it is. But we looked it up. It's literally a made up name. There's like no history to it.
There's got to be Shrute somewhere. There has
There's
to be
100.
like
There's 101 Shrutes the last time I looked, and they've all existed within the last like 15 years. The word has
there's not like an
there's
Amish Shrute
there's,
somewhere. It
there's
seems
no
like
background to it.
it seems like Schroeder, Shrute, all those names would be like
It feels like a real last name, and now it is.
it
Like
is
now
last
it's
name.
last.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
so technically you and Dwight are like cousins or something.
third cousins at best.
Second,
I did have
maybe
my
kissing
first.
cousins.
I mean, maybe. I mean, the man can run a farm.
That he can.
Yeah, so there you go. That's why I'm a Shrute now, and I love it. It's such an ugly. It's like even as someone who works with words every day, the word Shrute is such an crass
Well, it's
kind of
just
ugly
short.
word.
It's brief
Yeah,
and abrupt. Shrute.
it's I dig it.
That's awesome.
Not to segue, but
So
yeah,
yeah, you know what? I'm glad you heard it here first, folks.
I made up last name.
That's awesome. Um,
Man,
so
where do we go from?
I
How do
don't.
we get back? On track?
Well, so yeah, we'll just get back into hunting stuff. So then once your hunting happened, by necessity, at what point did it become more of a luxury, or are you still a B-tag hunter?
No, I'm not a B tag hunter anymore. And this is like a man, I've had some heavy conversations about this in the last year, couple years. Somehow I've worked my way into being able to hunt as often as I want. So I can hunt the entire season. And that removes it's weird. I went from this pressure of I lived in Miles City, which is eastern Montana, and I worked during the day, but I would go out before work and get in that like hour and try and fill a tag. Or then I would go out after work and try and fill that tag. Or like my weekends, I would like drop the kids off at hockey and then like try and fill that tag. And now I don't have two nickels to rub together. So it's not like I'm going on these extravagant hunts, but I do have time. And I now have a job that is like my job is to hunt and fish and then test the gear of hunting and fishing. Yeah. So it's like now I have all this time that it's not a necessity because I know I'll fill a tag. I have the luxury of time that most people don't have. And so now I still only eat, if I'm eating meat, it's going to be wild game. I have a weird, I don't know if you can call it an allergy, but I have a weird reaction to beef. I've always have. And I don't know if it was just because I wasn't raised eating it or what, but my tongue swells up. It's just a weird whatever. So I just don't eat beef. So all of my game all my meat that I consume is wild game. But our freezers are full. Like I'm not food insecure as I once was. Um, so now I'm pickier, which is interesting because, you get into the word trophy hunting, right? I had someone ask me if I was a trophy hunter, and I was like, no, I eat everything that I hunt. And then this was like 2 years ago. They were like, have you passed up an okay buck hoping that a bigger one would come by? And I was like, well, yeah, everyone has. Well, why? If you're not a trophy hunter. And I was like,
See,
gut stab. Wait. Yeah, because
that's
I would
that's
prefer the
such
bigger buck.
BS though. Just because, okay, you know what? It's your tag. You know what?
Yeah.
Hunt it how you want. You can't say that that's trophy hunting. And everybody is
Well, it
in a
depends on your
different
definition
place.
of trophy. Depends on your definition of
Oh,
trophy.
absolutely. But I mean, I don't.
But yeah, I mean, I still feel B tags just because it's there's just a lot of hunters now.
Yeah,
Like we have 4 hunters in the house. So it's like
yeah.
we're gonna fill the freezer, but at the same time, like I'm not gonna shoot the first bull that I see this year.
Depends. You telling me if
Unless it's
like a 360 or 380 walked right by you, you'd wait for a 4 hundo or what?
oh no. No. 3 and it's down.
Yeah.
I'm not
If it's a
I'm not looking
raghorn,
to
it's down
yeah,
for
I'm not
me. If
looking
it's
to break
legal,
records.
it's down.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm in a different place, right? So like
Yeah.
never actually taken an elk, been elk hunting, never taken an elk. So for me, living in the Midwest, it's a totally different game. And then to
Totally
me,
different story.
that's a trophy, right? And people
Yeah.
can judge me all they want. I don't care. I'm at the point and age in my life where I could give zero F's what other people think.
How beautiful is that? That's something we should talk about. The beauty of being like, I look at these like 20 somethings that have something to prove, and they're just like,
No.
man, that's nauseating. No, thank you. Hard pass.
But it is a great feeling knowing that I don't care. I don't care what people think about any of that kind of stuff. Now,
Oh,
I'm
it's
not going to
amazing.
go out of my way to offend people because that's just not me. There are some people. Some people tend to go out of their way to offend you by some of the stuff you post. Now,
Or
I don't know if they're attacking you because you're pretty and they think you're just a pretty face that because of that is how you got into the hunting world, or if it's because they're jealous of your successes. I've never really had to think about that because it's not me, but I've seen some things that have gone on social media and some particular individuals that have definitely come after you pretty hard. I think it's funny that you actually engage with them.
well, and that's the thing that I think I don't know if again, I assume I'm small. I'm like a small human. And for the most part, I think when I run into people, they assume that I'm also younger than I am. And so I think they think they're going to get under my skin when in reality, I don't care. So then it becomes this fun thing. Like, sure, I mean, give me your best. It's not going to bother me. I'm going to just run with it. I'm going to make a mockery of it. I'm probably going to make a mockery of you. Your feelings are the ones that are going to get hurt in this scenario because they just don't care.
Except for
Um,
one person in particular
one,
that I know of, that
one
his feelings don't get hurt.
oh, I was like, who?
Make
Wait,
hunting great again.
oh, we're tight.
Okay. Are you for reals
You know,
though, or what?
I mean, I don't think we've spoken in a couple weeks,
Okay.
but yes,
In a
we have
couple
this.
weeks.
Yeah, yeah, we have no qualms.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I know the two of you have went back and forth quite a bit.
Oh, we have.
He's an abnormally large human, by the way. Like
he is an
if
large
you
human.
have you ever met him in person?
I think we've exchanged passing glances across the room, and that was the extent.
Like the dude sits at a table and his knees are above the table.
Yeah, he's a big dude. Which
And then you're like,
I'm a tiny human. That's most people I meet, or people would be like, "Isn't he like a big guy?" Like everybody's kind of a big guy If you're gonna ask me, I don't know. At a certain point, everybody's bigger than me.
That's funny. But yeah. So anyway, people like that troll you. Now it's probably not that big of a deal, but at first I just watched it and I was like, "Holy crap, where's this going to go?"
Yeah. I mean, I think there's the only times that something not even gets under my skin, but when something's like misconstrued and someone like presents me as a human that I'm not, then that great example. There was a dig, which I don't know how in the world, but he like dug back and found one
Was it
picture
the
of
stupid
me.
hat in the hot springs? Was that the
Yeah,
one?
stupid hat in hot springs. It's like the closest you can get to a bikini picture of me. I'm in a Nike one piece swimming suit because I'm a mom wearing like a flannel hat in a hot spring. And that was like the most risque thing that he could dig up. And I was like, you're trying to present me like I'm some weird 20
An
something.
insta thought on
Yeah. Like that I'm like making money on Instagram, which I still don't understand how that works, but some I haven't gotten a check yet.
apparently some people do. I haven't.
Apparently some people do. Like they apparently there are people I know that make a ton of money doing it and I'm like I don't more power to you, but I think that's how he was presenting me and I was like, yeah, I feel like we should probably have a discussion cuz I am
Yeah.
not those things.
Although I will say you have upped your reels game lately, stepping it up a
Yeah, I've
little
upped
bit.
my
The reels
what
game,
have I upped?
your reels game on
Oh,
Instagram.
listen, this is fun. All right, so I am not technologically inclined. I'm a writer in a dry cabin, and once I learned that I could make memes and figured out how to do it, I don't have a social life. That's entertainment for me. I just sit and make myself laugh, and then I'm like, wait, somebody else might think this is funny,
Yep.
and it turns out other people think it's funny too.
See, you're gonna get
I'm
paid.
doing.
You're gonna get paid, insta paid from your reels.
I still don't know how that works, but I highly doubt
Yeah.
it.
No, I've talked to some people, and it's pretty weird how that works. And like for a while there, they'll let your reels go, and you'll get paid quite a bit of money. And then once that initial whatever wears off, it's like they tweak it on you, and you get like pennies on stuff for a while. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of
Ugh.
crazy.
It's
But
not worth it to me.
I
I don't
saw
want to
some of
taint
them. They
my
are pretty
memeing.
funny. Um,
Thanks.
yeah, I just every once in a while I get on that kick and I like doing them, but a lot of times, man, I don't even care to post on social, and I don't want to consume it that much either. So it's like I get an
Yeah.
aversion to it every once in a while, to where like I took a break even from this podcast, and I did almost a 2 month break, and it was hard coming back because it
Yeah.
was just so different. I There was days where I wouldn't even look at my phone, and I'm thinking to myself like, do I want to go back to this?
So dreamy. See, I feel like right now, June and August are like my really slow months where I don't really do much. Like I don't have much going on for work. I don't go do anything because the weather's miserable. I didn't hunt. I didn't put in for an archery tag for antelope this year, so I have nothing. So I was just like sit around. Um, that's when I end up being like active, and then man, September rolls around.
Yeah.
My phone's probably not going to be charged most of the time. It's
So,
just not.
as being a writer, have you had to learn photography?
Kind of. I'm so bad at it. There's been a lot of discussion of sending a photographer with me this year because I don't know. I have friends that like film their own hunts. Like they self-film.
Yeah.
And I'm not that guy.
I bring
I'm
the
not
camera,
gonna
and then it
yeah,
stays in the truck,
stays
or
in the
I
truck.
bring it and I set it up, and then I forget to turn it on. Like I did a boar hunt, speared a boar, forgot to turn the camera on.
That's kind of brutal.
I thought
That's kind
I thought it was on, so I hit it, and all I did is like power it on because it was not even powered on. And then so we were stalking up, and I actually pulled out two arrows and was going to like jump on the back of one and get all this like awesome footage, and then nothing. I look back at the camera and I'm like, oh no, that wasn't even recording. So
man.
I'm pretty
That's
bad
like
at
gut
it.
wrenching. That's gut-wrenching when you think that you're recording it
Yeah,
and then you don't get
yeah,
it.
it was pretty bad. I was like, oh, it's gonna be awesome footage, and then there was zero footage.
You know, some of my coolest hunts or like most memorable hunts are absolutely on film. They'll just never see the light of day. It's just not for anybody but the people that were present and me when I get older and my kids when they can be like, she was
Was
cool.
it an amazing photographer that filmed these hunts?
There were a few of them.
Yeah.
Yep. There was like
Okay.
incredible photographers,
Okay.
videographers. Yeah,
I might know of one, but
probably. You may. Some of them, one of the photographers in general has an entire file of, I don't like being on camera. So he has an entire file of photos of me glaring at the camera because I would turn around and there'd be a camera in my face and it would just tick me off. Because I'm like, I am hunting. Why are you pointing a camera at my face?
didn't you want I mean, you wanted it on film, right?
Well, I don't
Yes.
know that I would say I wanted it on film. There just happened to be a camera around at the time.
Okay. All right.
I feel like a lot of my excursions into the woods where there's cameras around, the cameras aren't necessarily there for me. I just happen to be also hunting in this scenario. I do a real good job of avoiding them. I'm my dad called and he was like, I'm pretty sure I'm sitting here watching TV and I'm pretty sure you're standing in front of me on the Sportsman's channel. And I was like, am I standing in front of you or am I off to the side looking in the corner? Because I bet I'm off to the side looking in the corner. So I've done a pretty good job of avoiding it, which is why, like this year with my job, it's so silly that I don't. It would be so helpful if I did like have just a camera guy.
But
Like,
are you a
like
decent photographer then, or no? Like, have you learned enough?
I did. At one point, I think I was a decent photographer, and now an iPhone takes an amazing photo.
It's
So
true.
it's like, and for what I do, like most of the photos that I need are gear centered photos.
Yeah.
Like an iPhone takes an amazing photo. So
Yeah.
it's like
I feel like I
I should
used
get
to
better, but
know how to frame the shots well, but just
oh yeah,
not run the camera right. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I have a point and shoot. I have the greatest camera. Here's a little tip for everyone. I'm not sponsored nor going to make any money from this little sales pitch, but the Nikon P1000 point and shoot digital zoom camera, if you don't know how to use a camera, will take an amazing photo. It will take a photo of an elk at 1,000 yards and it's just amazing camera. That's the way to do it. Point and shoot. I'm not a photographer, so
so is a point and shoot, is that a fixed lens, like a variable fixed lens, or can you change out
fi-
lenses on it?
fixed camera lens.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's great. It's just great.
Okay.
And it's like $1,000,
Yeah.
which in the camera world, a good lens you can't get for $1,000.
No, I spent money on Sony stuff that I still don't understand how to run.
Yeah.
And it's super complicated. Like Canons are way easier to run, but Sony is adaptable if you can just figure it out. And I'm not there
Yeah.
yet. uh, I'm just a knuckle dragger though, so that makes sense. But I saw that you were hanging out with Laura Zara a little bit, shooting some content for some stuff. Is that something that's coming up in the future, or is that just two chicks hanging out
That
doing?
was two chicks hanging out in the woods.
Okay, so do you do any foraging stuff with Laura?
I do not. So Laura and I just recently met. We connected at a media event, which is why we were out in the woods. And then it was this sudden realization that we live like a stone's throw away from each other and we do all of the same stuff. So now we are homies, which is great because there are not a lot of people, especially women in my area that do the stuff that I do or that want to be like, hey, let's go. Morels are crazy this year. Let's just go pick them all and eat them all until we can't move. So that's kind of rad.
Yeah.
She's an incredible human being.
So let's get in. Do you do a lot of foraging, or is it kind of limited to your knowledge? But now that you have that resource like Laura, is that going to change into something else maybe?
I mean, it depends on how often we get to hang out.
Okay.
But we do forage a lot. Yeah, we do not, I wouldn't say we're not foragers per se. Um, but as soon as mushroom foragers, I would say is the bulk of what we forage.
So King's
Uh,
Boletes.
there are some boletes in this area. We're in, if you look at the map, like the little like mushroom map of
Hmm.
Montana, there's one little hot spot dead in the center, and that is where we were at. So we have oysters. We harvested so many oyster mushrooms that I was like sick of eating oyster mushrooms this year. I bet we harvested 1,000 morels this year, if not more. There were morels in the
Yeah.
yard.
You know,
Yeah, we're just covered.
that's the one thing. So in the Midwest, we only have one morel season. We can't follow elevation up and then
Ugh,
just keep chasing them. Or we also don't have the burn morels you guys have. You know,
yeah,
we get black morels, but it's not like we can't just chase burns to go get them. So little jealous there. But I have to say, like, I'm not even that big of a morel fan anymore. I found so many
really.
other mushrooms. Like I would rather eat oysters than a morel anymore. I don't know why. It depends. Like a
Oysters are great.
golden oyster or something like that, or like you don't have them, but we do. So haha, hen of the woods or maitake mushrooms are
Yeah.
freaking awesome. Those are still like my favorite. And then chanterelles, which you guys probably do have, but
Yeah, we do.
um,
Yeah.
and you could probably chase those up in elevation too. So that's not really that
Yep,
cool
sure
either.
can.
And you guys have king boletes, so to me like a porcini is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, we so part of my little side projects is I've been trying to inoculate. We have this real marshy area on our property because we have a lot of water. And we have a real temperate climate. So we're in a little bubble in central Montana where like we're a little plains, a little grasslands, a lot of mountains, in this kind of not a bowl, but more of a big valley. So mushrooms grow better here than anywhere else in the state that I've ever found. And so I've been like getting spawn plugs and like trying to bring in some hardwoods. I'm like trying to create a fake environment to grow mushrooms because I feel like it will happen here.
So
I
you're
feel like we
saying
have the
bring in hardwoods as in like plant trees?
no, like dead, like
Oh,
logs,
okay,
oak
okay.
logs. Like we don't have hardwood trees here. Like we just
So
don't. They don't grow.
few things. I've gone into full on mushroom nerd and actually like take my own cultures and then grow.
Same.
Okay, so you take cultures of like wild mushrooms and then grow them on an agar plate and then take that and go it into grain spawn. I will say though the plugs don't work
Hmm.
that good. They work.
Yeah, that's what. So that's what I tried just because I was being lazy.
Yeah.
Because I'll like make my little prints and like
Yeah.
do my swabs and my agar plates and everything, and it always works really well. And then I was like, it'd be a lot easier if I just buy plugs.
Yeah, they're not.
Um,
They suck.
yeah,
But
that's what I'm learning.
so like if you get the I don't know the name of it, but the tool that actually takes the sawdust spawn, though the
Hmm.
sawdust spawn works way better and it colonizes like twice as fast.
Good to know.
So definitely do that for sure. Yeah,
That'll be next spring. Yep,
because
that's
do
happening.
that. And then so like if you have a garden, wine cap mushrooms are like the absolute freaking easiest to grow.
Really?
Yes. And then
Yeah,
so
we
here's
have
a
a
little
lot of garden
tip.
space.
Here's a tip for that. So if you mulch your garden, wine caps are amazing for that. Or you do wine cap beds where you throw down some straw, put cardboard down on the ground, get it all wet, and then do straw and layer it with like sawdust spawn and wood chips and then straw on there too. But if you order one culture syringe, right, for a liquid culture
Mhm.
syringe, you can make your own. This is where the nutrient broth for it, right? And then make your own
Yep.
liquid culture, and you can get like 100 freaking syringes out of one syringe for like $20.
Yep. That's what I started out making my prints and doing like my agar plates, and then I was like, there's got to be just from time because I
Hmm.
travel so much. I'm like, there's got to be an easier way to do this. So then I started buying liquid culture, and then I was like, the plugs, which I haven't gotten anything out of plugs. But yeah, I was like, I bet I could. I feel like this culture could go a lot further
Yep,
than it
it
actually
does.
is.
It
It
does
goes
too.
forever. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like an endless supply.
Now they say it only lasts like 6 months, but so do you take slants and preserve all your stuff too?
Hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Keep them in the fridge in the slant rack.
Yep. Yeah, I feel like if something were to happen to me and nobody knew about what I was doing, it just looks so sketchy. Like
Oh
my whole
yeah,
house
it's
is
total like Breaking Bad. Yeah.
syringes
Yep.
and plates
Yep.
and yeah.
I've got
Yeah,
a
it looks like an underground pharmacy.
big box of the from the local farms or the farm supply of syringes and all that too. So yeah.
Yeah, just like rubber gloves
Yep.
and bottles of rubbing alcohol.
So
Yeah, it looks sketch.
did you build yourself a laminar box, like a
I did.
hood?
What?
Did you build
So
a hood or a still air box?
so I have a couple of different setups. So the stiller, like my mono tubs, the stiller boxes have been the best that have worked for me. And then Martha tents, just cheap plastic Martha tents. And then I've got it again looks so sketchy, but I have like the fogger system that
Mhm.
runs on a little humidity switch. So it kicks on. It's all like automated so that I can travel and everything's just started and fogged. And
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. No, I know all
Yeah,
about that. I love doing that stuff. It's fun.
rad.
And people
It's one of
think
those things I
you're like,
never really talk about, but it's like a big part of my life is my like
yeah,
growing my lion's
I
mane or
have recently
whatever.
become a mycophile, I think. So,
It's weird how it's like it happens fast. You're like, this is interesting, and then all of a sudden you're that guy.
yeah, no, I totally get it. I actually want to build like a big commercial laminar hood though. So like I can do work instead of in a still air box because it's kind of small, cramped. And so I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking at getting like 4 giant HEPA filters and making like a whole wall.
Rad. We've been
That's
talking about like we have this whole basement that is like maintains 55 degrees all year round and it's very still and concrete. And I was like, this would be perfect. Like we can clear this thing out
little
and
cold,
just do a whole setup.
but there's tips for that though. So like if you double tubs up, you can actually
Mm-hmm.
grow them in the basement if you double tubs up and put like an aquarium heater in the one tub and have the other tub inside the tub for your fruiting chamber.
Yeah.
Works great.
Yep. Yeah, this is a rabbit hole we could go down forever.
Yeah. So anyway, okay, so you like growing mushrooms as well as picking them. Are you into any other type of foraging? I'm sure like huckleberries and stuff like that. I mean, that's just native
Yeah.
Montanan stuff. That's nothing out unusual.
Huckleberries, choke cherries. Yeah, the typical wild raspberries on occasion. That's about it
Yeah.
though.
No wild greens or any of that kind of stuff. You guys get you can have like wild onions or whatever, but you don't have I don't think you guys have ramps. Like
I don't know if we do or not.
Allium tricoccum or Allium burdickii, I believe. So like one's white, one's red, but it almost looks like a tulip leaf. Freaking
Yeah, I
awesome.
don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think we have that. It's tough just because, especially greens. We're either like everything's so dry. Like I feel like people think of Montana and they think like this like beautiful lush whatever, but most of the state is high desert, and then the eastern side of the state is badlands. So it's like there's not a lot of greenery around for a lot of the year. A couple of months,
Well,
I
like
think
right where
we're
you're at
lucky.
though, like central. I mean, that's actually you get the snow melt and stuff, and that's what causes the green up. But
Yeah, yeah, but I don't know that we have a lot of native. I'm sure we do. I'm sure we have a ton that I just don't know about. I'm sure there's harvestable things I don't know about. But like, yeah, we don't have like ferns or sting nettle, or we don't have any of that stuff that I think a lot of other places have.
you gotta have nettles.
I don't think we do. I've never seen nettles in Montana.
Maybe not stinging nettle, but so like wood nettle or something like that, or clear weed, or I guarantee it.
Now I'm gonna have to look into this,
Yeah.
but I don't. Not that I've noticed.
Okay. Well, I
That
guarantee
does
it's
not
there.
mean that they're here.
But so
As
I got to ask you something else though before like we get too side railed again because I wanted to ask you about it. Um, how often does this happen that you get like crazy stalkers that totally pick up your stuff and take your
real rare. That's not normal.
I don't understand how the person thought it wouldn't be weird.
Yeah. Well, I think, listen, I think there are those people that are like, he opened it up with like, don't think this is weird. So he knew. He knew it was weird, or
Absolutely.
he would have opened with don't think this is weird. So like it started out weird and then it just devolved to weirder to like, wait, this is getting uncomfortable. And there's some stuff that I did not share publicly because I was just like, whoa, dude. Like you should probably talk to somebody and understand what is acceptable and not acceptable. And like it would have been one thing, and I understand, I feel like the internet and social media has made people a little we're different because you have access to so many people that you would never, like, I couldn't just like call up Bill Dance as a kid and be like, that was hilarious, bud, because he was like an uber human that I had no contact with. You can contact anyone now. Like, you just have this open access to people. So I think people think you get this feeling that you know somebody, right? Like, you know somebody because you like saw that their kid had a birthday last week. You know,
If you
you
post
know what
that
they,
stuff. But yeah.
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 So there's like this weird barrier that's been removed. And like, if it were me and I like followed someone on Instagram and saw them at the hotel I was staying at, I would probably just be like, hey, what's up?
Like
Like
wave or like walk over
a
and say,
normal
hey, hi.
human
Yeah.
interaction. But taking a photo of them and then like sending it to them and then the realization of how did you get my phone number, which took me a minute. It didn't register to me. This just like showed up in my phone. And of course, I'm like going about my day. And then it was like, oh, you set your card down on a table in a different day, in a different
So
place
I got to ask you though, set your card down on a table like at a business meeting or like,
at a business meeting. I
okay.
got down to the bottom of it. I figured out, I know exactly, I can picture the dude in my mind just because there was one guy hovering around this meeting. And one of the guys I was in a meeting with asked if he needed help. And he said, nope, just looking. And I just remember being so weird because he was like hovering around our meeting and it had to be that guy.
Was it
Because I
like at
definitely set my
like
card
what was
down.
the setting though? Was it like a trade show
Trade
or
show.
okay.
Yeah. So there's open access to everybody
Yeah.
because everybody's just running around and the meetings are just like on the floor. But yeah, the fact that he like lingered long enough and looked at my card with my tiny little font and then memorized my number or wrote it
You
down
don't
or
think he
took a
took the
picture of
card?
it. No, the card stayed at that table because I was giving it to another guy who was digging through his little lanyard looking for his card to like
Oh,
exchange cards.
that does make it pretty creepy.
It's so creepy. Like any other scenario would have been less creepy. Yeah. So that's where I was like, this is starting to get real weird, bud. Like, you don't think this is weird, but
So
everyone else thinks
did
this is weird.
do you think he was part like he's not in the industry? He was just somebody there
I,
that was coming to see the show or
I asked him, and I think he said he was industry adjacent because it's not open to the public. So he would have to
which
like
wait, what show was it?
iCast, which is a
Oh, okay.
massive
Yeah,
show.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So whether he like makes a lure or like
He
in some way
yeah.
he was associated with the fishing industry.
Well, he might be like a YouTube personality or something.
Maybe.
Maybe he
Who
just wanted
knows?
to get you in his kayak and
Man, I really missed an opportunity there.
you did. I mean, you could be in one of the backwaters of the Everglades somewhere right now.
Man, that sounds safe.
You know
It
what,
sounds super
though?
safe.
At least you had the situational awareness because most people don't, right? You had the situational awareness, like once that went on, to actually realize who it was. Most
Yeah,
people would
I don't
not.
know that I would have. I don't think I would have. There's been other scenarios where someone's been like, oh, I stood there and I was waiting to like say hi to you or whatever. And I was like, I did not notice there was another person there. It was only weird because the people around me were like, can we help you? Like, I don't think if the guy I was talking to wouldn't have stopped and been like, do you need some help? I would have not noticed because there's a million people around. Like, I would have never noticed. And it's made me situationally aware now because now I'm like leaving a hotel and I'm like looking around like who else is in this room and who is watching. And it was a good wake up call. I'm actually kind of grateful it happened because I do travel alone a lot.
Grateful it happened.
Yeah. I'm so lax with like I just like travel alone and I'm like very friendly with everybody and I just like toss my number out to wherever and I never pay attention to who I'm around and I just I don't know. I'm kind of sheltered and I live in a bubble out here. And when I get to like, I had a whole other situation that happened that I haven't even, I'm writing a story about because it was like, it's kind of shaken me a bit. But like, someone planted an air tag in my backpack in Orlando, Florida, which is a whole new.
So Orlando, Florida is like one of the number one trafficking cities in the world.
And you know what I figured? I got on the plane in Orlando, traveling alone, and my phone gave me one of those. There's an air tag traveling with you. And I'm like, well, yeah,
How
because
does
I'm
it
on a
know that?
plane.
How
I think if there's an air tag within reach of your phone that's not registered to you, it notifies you, which I did not know,
hmm,
which is awesome.
that is great.
But also,
Yes.
if the guy next to me has an air tag, yeah, we're on a plane, we're traveling together. Of course, there's an air tag. I'm sure there's several air tags traveling with me. And then I landed in Minneapolis and I got my phone buzzed again that there was an air tag traveling with me, but we were all getting off the plane. And then I like turned down a side, like a little side terminal entirely by myself because my flight was delayed like 2 hours and it buzzed again. So then I clicked on it and it opened up a map from where that air tag was first picked up with me to where I was standing. And it was like the tram in Orlando to where I was standing right now. So then I was like, what? And of course, because I'm sheltered in Montana, and I was like, oh, I wonder if someone just dropped something and like my bag was underneath someone's seat. So like
Well,
maybe they
logical,
dropped.
right? Like the
Yeah.
non-criminal mind.
So then at like 11 o'clock at night in the Minneapolis airport, I'm like dumping my bag out and I don't find anything. And this airport security guy came over and was like, did you lose something? Because I'm sure it looked, I'm like frantically dumping my bag out. And so then I told him, and he was like, well, let's dig through everything. And on the bottom of I carry a Kuyu day pack as my carry on bag because it's the best carry on bag ever made. But on the bottom, there's a zipper that you can access. You can stuff a rain fly, or you can access the front pocket that I've never used. And he unzipped that, and a little black square fell out, and it was an air tag wrapped in black gaff tape. And I was just like,
Wow.
what? No way. So then, of course, you like start to backtrack, and I was thinking about the tram, and sure enough, on the tram, like going between terminals in Orlando, I remember it stopped and someone slammed into the back of me. And I was like, I bet that's when it happened. And I was wearing a hoodie and I'm all of 5 foot nothing and a $115. I probably looked like a kid traveling alone. Like I probably looked a lot younger than I am. Like,
Yeah.
but what's the next step? Like I'm so sheltered that I don't even know what happens after that. Now you like follow me home? Now you know where I
Probably.
live?
Yeah.
Like,
And then a van pulls up. I don't know.
Florida, man. Ladies,
That's crazy though.
Florida is just as sketch as they tell you.
Stay
It is.
strapped or get clapped. That's what it is. That's
Yeah, that's exactly apparently what it is.
carry a tourniquet and a blade
Yeah,
and a
right?
gun. All times. Know how to use them. That's the lesson there.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah, but that's not normal.
No,
like, I've
well,
lived
I
a
mean-
very no stalkers, no, not very minimal weirdos for what I've seen of other people I know, other women in this industry. Holy, the shit they're sent is just like blows my mind. I don't get any of that stuff. Like I
Yeah.
think I really
Yeah,
skirted around a lot of that weird, gross.
maybe not. I mean, the more your name's out there, the more that it could happen, though. You know? I mean-
It's just a matter of time before I disappear into the woods forever, my
Whoa.
friend.
Well, yeah, that's all of our goal, I think. I've even contemplated getting a typewriter. No, I'm just kidding.
There's a lot of times that I'll do my best work is offline. I just write it on my laptop. And
No,
then
I meant like
upload it.
typewriter in
Yeah.
the shack on the woods and write my own manifesto, but I'm just kidding.
Man, that's very Lincoln, Montana of you.
But no, yeah, we all want to disappear into the woods and run around barefoot and do all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's why we do what we do and why we're here right now talking about this kind of stuff is because deep down we just want to go back to our primal roots. But
For sure.
instead we're here under the constraints of modern society and just dip our toe into that little
Yeah.
pool of that. But yeah, no, that's messed up though. I still can't get over that. The air
It's a
tag
little
thing.
weird.
Like the
Yeah.
one was stocky and it was like, okay, this is an individual, like a fringe outlier. The other one sounds like serious,
Yeah.
like
straight up serious
Yeah,
business.
that's human trafficking right there.
And even like weird stalker guy, I feel like he was absolutely harmless. He just didn't know. Like I feel like there was just like a weird social boundary that he was just like,
I don't know about
I don't
that.
know if this is inappropriate. Like now I'm in a whatever, I'm in an event and you're in an event and the phone number thing is just still creepy. That's just creepy.
There was a line that was crossed from the moment he decided to take your phone number.
Yeah.
And then text you on it. It'd be one thing if you gave it to him, right? Totally different story.
Yeah.
Totally different story. But
yeah,
that was not the case. And that's lines that were crossed. Hopefully this dude listens to that, he hears that, and learns from it.
I think he was mortified. At the end of the day, I think he was like, And then I just wanted to be like, you know what? The picture that he sent me, I'm like, I'm struggling with more luggage
you could have helped.
Than any human being.
Be a gentleman. Go over and offer to carry something. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't just watch me struggle and take a picture. Like if you're gonna stalk, at least carry my shit.
Or take the picture and laugh at you.
Yeah.
But either way, either be a gentleman or laugh about it. But yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. All right. Well, it's been fun. Rambling all over the place, really. I don't even.
Yeah, this accomplished nothing other than rambling all over the place.
Sometimes it's fun. So great to meet another mycophile. If somebody wants to read your content, reach out to you, give you an article that you'll never read. Sorry, that was a little sick. Anything like that, where can they find you? Where can they stalk you on social media? All that good stuff.
Well, I'm the only Rachelle Shrute in the world, so I'm not hard to find since that name is made up. That's awesome. I'm on the socials. Gear Junkie, you can find me there. I think there's a link to my email if you want to send me an article I'll never read.
Yep. Yeah.
Which that's a burn, a well-deserved burn.
It's fine. It's not a big deal. I'm not upset about it. I just wanted to throw it in there. I promise I'm not upset.
I'm not sad at all about it.
Okay.
But yes, if you would like to pitch me articles or send me writing or whatever, it will get in the pile of 300 other emails for the day that I may or may not get to. Yeah, Gear Junkie. You can find me. That's where I'm at.
Gear Junkie.
Instagram.
Rachelle Shrute. Only one in the world, folks. All right. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, it's a blast.
And once again, thank you so much for listening to the Publicly Challenged podcast. I hope you enjoyed the show, and if you did, please subscribe on whatever platform it is you're listening to. Also, if you could leave a review, that would help us out. And you can check us out on Instagram or at publiclychallenged.com. And once again, thank you so much for listening to the show.